believe it or not, another Exorcist movie. Yes, believe it or not. This one going to try to make a believer out of us, but I'm not so sure that it did. We'll see. Anyway, IMDb plot time. When two girls disappear into the woods and return 3 days later with no memory of what happened to them, the father of one girl seeks out Chris MacNeil, who's been forever altered by what happened to her daughter 50 years ago. Okay, here we go. Fairly new movie. It's obviously been out, coming out soon on DVD and so forth. I will try to keep it spoiler free with certain things and whatever. But yeah, I'll keep it spoiler free. I realize probably, I didn't see it in theaters, so I'm sure a good chunk of you have already seen this movie before I did. So maybe there are a few of you that are watching this have not, but I'll try to still keep this spoiler free as much as possible here. But yeah, really, this is again, some of these, when I do reviews of the original movies, it's easy. I just jump into it. Whenever I do one of these, sequels, remakes, whatever, especially this one that's a long-awaited sequel, or whatever you want to call it, prequel, actually, or whatever it is, it's just, I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's almost exhausting to me, and yeah, there are ones that work out, that are good, that are great, you're excited, you see it, you're happy, and or at least have some good things in it, and so forth. But sometimes, then when you see a movie and then you see the reaction to it, are you shocked, or am I shocked? No. I will say I saw probably more bad things, bad reviews, bad things being said, more people who were on the other end of maybe just not liking this movie. And, in my head, I'm almost, before I even saw the movie, I'm like, I told you so. I knew that was going to happen. Why do they do this and then set themselves up for almost failure? Besides for the money, besides for the let's do it, blah, blah. Sometimes, when they continue to do remakes and so forth, I question their love of horror. And obviously they have to have a certain love for it. They're doing the movie. The people who are behind this have done other horror movies, done horror. Obviously there's a love there somewhere. But, when you do this, really, I just have to throw that out there, because if you really did, would you put the money in front of just doing the movie? Because every time I complain and every time you mention it, all horror fans know, at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff is because of the money. And if you could just sweep the money away, would you have really done this movie? Would you really have done it and kind of reach back and kind of mess with it, and just not just been like, hey, it's had its place in horror history. Obviously, The Exorcist will go down as one of the scariest, biggest, horror movies of all time. I'm talking about the original. Whatever your feelings were for the sequels that kind of came off of that, those are what they are. But the original is the original in a lot of horror fans' heart. So, do you really want to open that door and really go down that path? Even if you're trying to reach a new generation. I know there's an argument with some of the other movies, whatever, you're trying to reach a new generation, present it to a new generation, and that's fine. But for some of us that are the original was before my time. I'm not going to say that I was one of the ones that saw it in theaters. No, I'm not that old. But, I certainly know its place in history. And I know what this movie means to a lot of people, especially the people that actually got to see this in theaters and were scared shitless back then of the day by it. So when you do this movie and then you get so many negative, things said about it, are you surprised? Am I surprised? No. Are you going to say that, from that standpoint, are you going to then come back to me and tell me that, a lot of those people just hate on the movie because they love the original so much, and they're kind of like me and didn't want to see a sequel, so they were going to hate the movie regardless? Yeah, sure, there are people that were going to hate this movie regardless. and are obviously going to come from a huge grain of salt to begin with, for you doing this movie. But I think at the end of the day, if you really did a movie that was really good, I would like to think that as much as maybe people didn't want it, they would have still liked it, or still would have appreciated what you did. Um, you know, uh, and I guess, one of the most recent things is with Halloween. A lot of people excited to see Michael Myers, a lot of people excited to, have it and see it, whatever. But after the end of the day, when you've done the three movies, you've, yeah, there are people that like it, love it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you've presented Michael Myers to a new generation and so forth. Uh, but, did you win over a huge majority of horror fans? That can be up for debate. So, are you going to win over a whole huge majority of horror fans with this one? Probably not. I would, just based on what I've seen. Um, anyway, all of that said had nothing nothing to do with reviewing this movie. Um, this movie, it kind of almost sets up, as a true crime thing, and in a way that kind of excited me. I like true crime. I like been going down a lot of those avenues lately. So it kind of sets up very much like that, and so forth. You have, two young girls. They're friends. You kind of see them how their relationship is, with each other and then with their families. They go off in the woods and they've disappeared, and then you have the search for them, and then you have issues, that are brought up because of the search, and where they go and how they find, who has them, where they taken, blah, 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 because of this, that. And even when the girls are found, you still have questions. Who took them? Did they just get lost? What has happened to them? Obviously, there's something different about them. They're not acting the same. There's something strange going on there. So, you have a lot of that. So I thought at least opened it decently. I liked that. Um, Even as you kind of see that, okay, what has gone wrong with them is that there's a demon inside of them. Even as that starts, it's okay. I just think the further it goes, just the worse it becomes. Um, I think that, having, two young girls, it's like, when I don't know what their thoughts are when they were going to do the movie, but, thinking that they did so much in the original with just one young girl, that, what if they had two young girls? What could they do then? Can they amp it up? You would think that having two young girls that could do so much more, make it so much more scarier, or do some really crazy stuff, and push the boundaries there. But, to me, they just didn't. To me, they didn't totally capitalize on that, and having the two of them there, and uh, kind of, again, I don't, said I wouldn't take it into spoiler territory, so I don't want to talk totally too much about what happens at the end of the movie in the final scene, and obviously the scene when we're going to perform the exorcism, or when we have that going on, because, as horror fans, we know that that's where it's going to go. But to me, at the end of the day, they just missed out on so much more they could have done. I think, like I said, early on when you first see the demon in them and whatever, like, it's okay, and they kind of give you hope that maybe something interesting or good they're going to do with it. But then, to me, they just never reached what they could. What did I want? What I had done? I have no idea. I just don't think that I saw something that really capitalized on the fact that you're having two of them. At the end of the day, you could have just settled on just doing one again, and it would have been almost the same. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's when I kind of saw that it was going to be two of them there in this situation. I thought, oh, it kind of opened the door a little bit more. Can they do something really big here with the two of them? But I just don't think that they did, or in my book they did. And I don't, again, going back and looking at what people have said, I think if they had done something big and special, having the two of them together, maybe that would have pushed the envelope, and maybe more people would have liked it. I don't know. What else? Obviously, bringing Chris back was a big thing. I almost hate when they do that too. When they drag somebody from the original movie in, to kind of relate with us older horror fans, obviously, if you're that new generation that I spoke of and you're watching it, you're like, hey, who the hell is this woman? And what does she have to do with anything? Yeah, a little bit of it is explained there. But at the end of the day, that woman just becomes another woman. If you're part of the new generation, if you've never seen The Exorcist, or even if you maybe you have, but you just don't have that same loyalty that some of the hardcore horror fans or the people that saw this long ago in the day and have seen the, maybe even the sequels and so forth. That woman really means nothing to you. She can't possibly mean anything more than anybody else in the room, any other character, because all the two girls, you don't know who they are. To anybody in the movie, new generation, old school horror fans, they're just two young girls or anybody in the movie. So this person that they just introduced to old school horror fans, you're like, oh, it's great seeing her on the scene and seeing her there, that she's a part of the movie. But to new school people, she's just another character. Is she gonna come save the day? And she kind of tries to save the day, but doesn't really get into doing it as much as you would have thought. I feel it's sad. It kind of reminds me of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the latest one they did. They bring back Sally and her character, and it's a great moment. But did as it kind of and it kind of brings those old school horror fans. You're like, oh look, we finally get the answer to what is she is. But at the end of the day, at least in my eyes, that was a huge letdown of what they did with her, and what they explained that she's done ever since then. That you can go to my review of that if you want to see me complain about that. But I just don't like them bringing back these people for like this, like one specific kind of moment or whatever in the movie to hold. If you would have taken her out of this movie and she didn't even wasn't there, would have changed really anything? No. It is really a main connection to the original movie besides the demon here. But you could have had the demon with her, without her. It doesn't matter. A demon is a demon. You could have had it, or could have had it not. You know, did I say this was a prequel or not? It was not a prequel, but obviously not a sequel. I don't know what I'm talking about. But regardless, to me, it's just another one of those, let's stick her in there and try to money grab by having her in this movie. And it adds kind of that fuel to the fire of let's just do this for money, at least in my eyes. There is obviously a moment that is presented, which I'm sure, horror fans can, at least the old generation will smile at, and I'm not going to say too much there, but but to me that was kind of my reaction to it. It was like, oh, okay, and and that's it. But really, it's almost one of those things where they could have just done this, called it a different kind of Exorcist movie, taken her out of the equation and just done it, and it would have just been it's like done another Exorcist movie, and then you would have realized that probably, I don't know what this movie made to this point, but without calling it The Exorcist, you probably could have slashed that number in half, slashed that number maybe in 2/3, and that would have been the people that would have seen the movie. But because you call it The Exorcist, because you bring Chris and you put her character into this movie, now you have more people to watch it, now you have more money and whatever, blah, blah. And to me, it's just sad. Like, if you would have told me the story picked up with her from the beginning and followed her, and she had a bigger and importance to what is going on here. I mean, they try to give her importance, but really, it's not. It's about the two young girls. It's about the family. She tries to help, not really help. It's just not. It's just, come on now. To me, I see what you're doing there. I don't know, or at least that's the way it comes off to me, and that just makes me even more mad. So yeah, I'm just gonna basically, not dive too much more into this and just kind of agree with a lot of people that agreed out there with this movie. And it is what it is. It's okay. I wish they would have done other stuff. Wish they would have done more. I'll also throw it out there. I like Exorcist. I would like to think that I like exorcism movies, but to me, the more that continue to come out, the more that I see that it's almost the same thing. It's just hard for them to find something to go in a different way. Yeah, there's been stuff that's worked. There's been other stuff that's tried to be a little bit different. We've seen like almost a found footage angle of exorcism. We've seen some comedies kind of taken in a fun direction, but that's because of the comedy angle. But these serious movies that are just exorcism related, a lot of them are the same. You end up with the person on the bed, you got to get the demon out, or you end up with the person somewhere and you got to get them out. There's a movie that's coming off the top of my head that I know I liked a little bit more. It was the girl. I think they were doing like a show or something, and it was supposed to be fake, but then she ended up doing. I can't remember the name of it, but that one was okay, and that was pretty good. And I think a lot of horror fans liked that one. Damn if I can remember the name of it. But just some of the other ones that have just come recently, like, to me, I just feel like I'm watching the same version. It's like person becomes possessed, the demon is angry and evil, does bad stuff, and we got to get it out of them. And it's just not a whole kind of lot of new stuff. It's almost like some of the found footage stuff. It's just kind of the same stuff. It's like, we're recording. Why didn't we drop the recording? Why can't we just stop? No, and we're going to continue on, and then bad stuff is going to happen. So, some of it becomes a little exhausting. I don't know if it's just me personally. Some of it just becomes a little exhausting. Like, I've seen this before. Why am I watching this again? Or when is something new and different going to happen? So, having the two girls, I thought that was the opportunity there. Like I said, off the top of my head, I don't remember an Exorcist movie where we've seen two, especially two young girls, kind of have the demon in them. But to me, at the end of the day, they just didn't give me that. Okay, we've done that, but let's do something spectacular with that, and we just didn't. And I just didn't like the way it ended. I just didn't. What happened at the end? I just like, okay, whatever. So with that, I want to say 2 pools of blood, but I'm going to give it even less. I'm going to give it 1.5. Like, I just, whatever. Like, I don't know. If you wanted me to give it any more, I would probably have to watch it again, and I don't want to watch it again, at least anytime soon. And will they do another? I don't know. I have no idea. Should they do another? Probably not. Let's just, if you're going to do an Exorcist movie, just do your own. Don't drag in the original. Come up with something new, different. That way, you probably have more of a fair chance to do good or bad with that than doing an Exorcist movie relating to the original. So yeah, I'm gonna go with 1.5 pools of blood, and that is out of 5. And I don't think I've done that in a while. But yeah, I feel like kind of penalizing this for even going down this road. So I could give it 2 and just be like, whatever, but I'm going to slash it a little bit more and take away some of more of that blood from it. Whatever. So with that, horrorscorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all my reviews, written and video. Obviously, lots more video reviews this year lately than written. But, like, subscribe, do everything that everybody wants to do if you're just interested in the video reviews. But if not, no worries, it's okay. I won't send the demon after you. It's fine. Twitter, Facebook information down below as well. Feel free to reach out to me there if you want to talk about this movie, other movies, your love, your hate for sequels, remakes, and so forth. Or something you want me to review, and obviously in the comment section the same, your feelings in this movie, sequels, remakes, and all that kind of fun stuff, and obviously this movie if you have comments on it there. So with that, I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.